Hey guys, Frank here, and today a very short tip, but an important one. It's all about this shot. Now, during the workshops, we of course try to create as many different solutions as possible because, well, let's be honest, I love high contrast images, but sometimes your client doesn't want a high contrast image, but something that jumps off the screen, maybe something with flat lighting. And I'm not a big fan of flat lighting, but as soon as I start doing this, yeah, that's when I really like it. You see that red backdrop, you see the model just jumping out. I really like this look. So how did I do this and what is the intention of this video? Well, there's a lot of stuff that I want to discuss with you guys, but we're going to do it really fast. The first thing you have to realize is this setup is not complicated, but it is extensive. So I'm using one light on the backdrop to create that nice round light effect. I'm creating two strip lights on the side for the accent lighting, and I'm having one light source in the front to create a nice soft light on our model. But we don't want it too soft. Now, my favorite modifier for shooting something like this is actually a ring flash, but I didn't use it today. Today I'm using the S26 from Geekoto, and I want to show you something, and that's actually part of the video. So let me grab one. Now, when we look at a strip light or a softbox or any other light modifier, you can actually see that it's built up in several parts. So for example, in the front we have the grid, and the grid steers the light towards your model. But let's take the grid out. Now, it doesn't look really nice now because I took the grid out, but as you can see here, this is what we call the front diffuser panel. Now, the front diffuser panel captures the light and then spreads it out over the front diffuser and then actually spreads it out over your model. This creates a nice soft quality of light. But as you can see here, it isn't that deep. So how can I light this whole area with just one strobe? Well, that's the idea behind the front diffuser. Because behind the front diffuser, we also have the middle diffuser. And the middle diffuser, this is where it's all about today. For this setup, I'm just using the middle diffuser. Now, you might think a softbox is just one way of lighting your model, but it's not. With the grid, we of course steer the light, but with only the front diffuser, you get a smaller quality of light, so a harsher quality of light. So you can use just the front diffuser without the middle diffuser. However, if you take out the front diffuser, leave in the middle diffuser, look at what happens. The light will go here and this will be soft, but all the sides will get that nice harsh quality of light. So in other words, if you're using a smaller light source, the quality is already harsh. But if you take out your diffusers, you can actually totally tailor-made that light to your liking. If you like it softer, use more diffusion. If you like it harder, use less diffusion. But also look at what happens inside that softbox. A white softbox will totally act differently than, for example, a silver softbox. And that's the whole idea. We wanted to use a nice, crispy light quality on our model. And in this case, I'm using the S26 without the front diffuser, without the grid, with only the middle diffuser. And that gives me that little bit of bite in the image. But there's more in the image. If you look at the setup, you can see that I'm also using two flags on the sides. Now, the reason for this is very simple. We're using two strip lights aimed towards the camera. And this can introduce a lens flare. Now, sometimes you want lens flare in your image because it gives you a nice moody image or it gives you some atmosphere. But sometimes you also don't want lens flare in your images. And that's when you have to make sure that you cut off the lens flare before it hits your lens. Now, with white backdrops, we have to do that nowadays because the cameras have way more dynamic range. So the backdrop starts to reflect back, it eats away all the hairs, and at that point it doesn't look right anymore. So that's where we also use flags. But also when using accent lighting, and especially when you have a filter on your camera like the black mist filter, it's very important to use flags on the sides of your model to make sure that you don't get any lens flares. So in essence, it's a relatively simple setup with two accent lights, one main light and one on the back. But the idea behind the setup is actually a little bit more complicated. And I hope you understand that by taking away the lens flares, you are creating a much nicer and even backdrop. So when you are in Photoshop, it's much easier to Photoshop. And of course the front, That's all up to you. If you want more contrast, you use the setup that we use now. If you think, hey, that's a little bit too much, I want less, use the front diffuser. If the light spreads out too much, then use the grid. But hey, we can talk about it a lot. Let's take a look at the behind the scenes video and the results. As you can see, a relatively simple setup, but actually a little bit more complicated. Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Digital Classroom. How did I shoot this one? If you have any questions, feel free to reach out on social media or below the video. And again, if you like what we do, subscribe to our channel, tell other people about our channel so we can grow, and of course hit the like and bell notification button so you will be updated when we upload something new. See you again next time.